Turabian is your friend. Turabian can be your friend, if you let her. The Kate Turabian Guide to Style is very easy to use, has a great index, and will help you with just about everything you need to properly format your papers. The chapters that you read for today's class will be extremely helpful to you. In this video, I will highlight a few of the more important features of Turabian. First, introduce the name of the person whose words or ideas you are using in the text of your paper. The first time, use the full name. After that, the last name is sufficient. Also in the text of your paper, be sure to discuss the material or indicate why you're using it. Don't just drop a quote into the body of a paragraph. And then always place the footnote at the end of the sentence. Here's a good example. This is a recent advanced degree student here at Columbia Seminary. And the first thing that you notice is that she uses a long indented quote in the body of her paper. A long indented quote is if a quote is more than 4 lines, you must indent the entire quote and use single spaces, and then put the footnote at the end of the sentence. The second thing to notice, you will see that the author of this page puts the footnote at the end of each sentence, not in the middle of the sentence where she mentions the author. And here again, she mentions the author's She's mentioned the author before, so the second time she mentions the author, she only has to use the last name, and then puts the footnote at the end of the sentence. The next thing to notice is that the first time that she quotes the author, look down here at her footnote. Number 24 was this quote up here. She included the full citation, the author's name, the title of the book, the place of publication, the publisher, the year, and the page number. The second time, as you can see, she quotes the same author, but she uses a shortened note. IBID is the abbreviation you can use when the footnote immediately following is from the same source. Note that IBID is an abbreviation. IBID period, comma, and then the page number. So this second footnote is from the exact same source as the one above it. And then this third footnote comes, let's see here, number 26. She's already quoted this author, so all she has to do is use the last name and the page number. This is called a shortened note. One of the key things to pay attention to when you're formatting your footnotes is that the footnote itself is single spaced. You notice that there are 2 lines of the footnote, but it is single spaced. And you double space in between footnotes. And that's a really picky thing, but it's very important to our form and style readers here at Columbia. You'll also notice that in proper formatting, the first line of the footnote is indented, and the second line is left justified. The first line is indented, and if there was a second line, it would be left justified. Here's another good example of footnotes, and it contains the exception to the rule about footnotes going at the end of the sentence. You'll see this sentence, "It was helpful to be in conversation with other authors like Blunt and Gonzalez." When you're citing 2 different sources within one sentence, you can put the footnote within the body of the sentence. It is a good example. And you'll see here, this is another current student, used a shortened note because he had already quoted Rossing and used the full citation, as you can see from footnote number 8. That's a full citation, but the next time he quoted Rossing, he only had to use the last name and the page number. Again, the first line of the footnote is indented. They're single spaced within the footnote and double spaced in between footnotes. Again, shortened notes can be used after you have provided the full citation one time. If you are using only one source from one author, it is fine in a shortened note, as you see this example with number 22, just to use the last name, Sanchez, and the page number, 265. If you are using multiple sources from the same author, you will need to include keywords from the title, like this example. This paper used many of Stephen Nadler's works. So in the shortened note, you use the author's last name, Nadler, and keywords from the title of the book. It doesn't have to be the entire title, but it can be keywords from the title and then the page number. Here's another example of a footnote with complete citation information and then a shortened note using the author's last name, keywords from the title, and the page number. This next set of information is the formatting for the bibliography. You'll notice that the formatting is different. In a footnote, the author's first name and then last name, and the first line is indented. In a bibliography, you notice it's last name, first name, and the first line is left justified and the second line is indented. Don't be overwhelmed. Turabian will help you if you just take your time. Citing a chapter in a book or an entry in an encyclopedia is a little bit different. You use the author of the chapter or encyclopedia entry as the author and the title of the chapter. Then insert, as you see in this example, the word in the main book or encyclopedia. You can always refer to Turabian to help you with this. I simply want you to notice that there's a difference when you are using an edited work or an entry in an encyclopedia. Citing an article in a journal is similar. You have to include the title of the particular author, article, the title of the journal, the volume, the edition, and then the pages. Again, Turabian is your friend. Use the book, use the index to help you find the exact way to cite everything you need. And again, here this is the example of the footnote, and this is the example of the bibliography entry. Here's another example. The bibliography entry has the last name first, the first line is left justified, and the second line is indented. You see the footnote entry is just flipped. The author's first name then last name, and the first line is indented and the second line is left justified. This is a good example of a well-formatted bibliography. You'll see that just with the footnotes, the bibliography entries are single-spaced within the entry and double-spaced in between entries, and the author's names are listed in alphabetical order. This is a good example. This student used two of Brian Blunt's books. So the second time you use one author, you don't have to list their name, you just draw a line, and that means that this next book is also by Brian Blunt. Again, you don't have to remember this, but when it comes time to write your paper, Turabian will really help you. The chapters that you read today will be your best friends as you format your paper, or as you work on the assignment for today's class.